Coming into an F1 team and winning the World Championship is no easy feat. But this is exactly what Kimi Raikkonen did in 2007 for Ferrari. In fact, he delivered them a World Championship in a car that was not the best on the grid that year. So, next year, the team decided to intentionally slow him down. What the hell were they thinking? The name Michael Schumacher and the team Ferrari really do go hand in hand, with Michael delivering 5 World Championships for the Italians between 2000 and 2004. However, after losing out to Alonso in both 2005 and 2006, Michael decided that at the end of 2006, it was the right time to take a step back from Formula 1, which led to some big shifts in the driver market. At this point, a young man named Kimi Raikkonen had already created a big name for himself, giving a promising challenge for the title in both 2003 and 2005 already, and Ferrari decided to grab him from McLaren. This led to world champion Alonso jumping into Raikkonen's empty McLaren seat and being partnered with possibly his fiercest teammate yet, Lewis Hamilton, for 2007. At the start of the season, Raikkonen's move seemed to pay off, opening up with a pole converted to a win in Australia. But from there, things began to look a little bleak for the Finn. Had it not been for a cheating scandal, which we won't get into in this video, McLaren would have been the Constructors' World Champions, which in most people's eyes mean they had the best car. But thankfully, due to a huge back and forth between teammates Lewis and Alonso, Kimi was able to keep the gap about small enough to still be in with a chance of first. But going into the last race, he was in third, 7 points behind leader Lewis Hamilton. Kimi therefore was not the gambling man's choice of world champion. However, as the events of the race unfolded, Kimi got the win and Hamilton and Alonso were far enough back to make him Ferrari's world champion. So surely next year, Kimi would be the leading Ferrari driver. Well, in 2008, Kimi opened up the season strong, winning 2 of the first 4 races, whereas teammate Massa only won 1. But after the Spanish Grand Prix, Kimi would not stand on the top step of the podium for the rest of the year. It's important to mention that Kimi Raikkonen was known, as most Finns are, as a quick driver. Insanely fast one-lap pace, especially over qualifying. And in 2008, this was still the case, as the man secured an at the time record-breaking 18 fastest laps over the season, though all of the time in the races. So if Kimi hadn't lost his pace, what had actually happened? When Kimi joined Ferrari, he bonded closely with the head of Ferrari, Jean Todt. But after a power struggle between Todt and Luca Di Montezemolo, Todt left the team in January of 2008, and Stefano Domenicali was brought in as Ferrari's head. With Di Montezemolo not bonding with the Iceman, things became tense. 4 rounds into the season, just after Kimi's win in Spain, the rumors began. Luca says Massa's future with the team is secure. It will be too damaging to partner Alonso with Kimi. Interesting then that they confirmed Felipe but not Raikkonen. And by Monaco, rumors across the F1 paddock of Fernando being signed for 2010 were rife. But here's the thing, with Kimi opening up the season strong and winning last year, why did Ferrari even want rid of him? Well, Santander at the time sponsored McLaren, and obviously they were a huge bank and a great brand to bring in money for the team. At the time, news articles were reporting that Santander were leaving the McLaren sponsorship to go to Ferrari for 2009. And one of the agreements in the contract, however, was that Santander, as a Spanish brand, would want Spanish driver Fernando Alonso to race for the team as soon as possible, which would be 2010 when Kimi's contract expired. Now, it would be awful publicity for the Ferrari team to announce in 2009 their driver who had just won them a world championship in 2007 and 2008 hypothetically to leave, especially as by the end of the British Grand Prix, Kimi, Massa and Hamilton were all tied for the lead of the championship, despite Kimi getting taken out in an unfortunate pit lane incident by Hamilton in Canada. So in between the British and German Grand Prix, without his knowledge, Kimi Raikkonen's front suspension was changed. And from this point onwards, Kimi complained of the car feeling awful. He's quoted as saying the team need to consider if they've taken the right step forward with development. Throughout this whole time too, Kimi was engaged in essentially a huge PR war with the Ferrari team. I'm sure you've all heard of Kimi's lack of motivation before. Well, it was most mostly the Ferrari team using this buzzword at the time. And I'm just gonna quote Kimi from the 2008 Spanish Grand Prix, and you tell me if he sounds unmotivated. "It was a perfect weekend for us in Barcelona. We were going really fast all the time, and we didn't have the slightest problem. Many times I've won and afterwards still had the feeling that it could have gone better. This time I did not have that feeling. This was probably the best weekend I've ever had in my career." Evidently, this was then the main narrative being pushed by Ferrari. As he struggled with car development, he wasn't involved with feeding back to as an excuse to void his contract. Between Germany and Singapore, Kimi was able to score only 14 points to Massa's 29, with both suffering some bad luck in this period. But at Singapore, Kimi was finally given his old suspension back. There are a few more key things to note here. Kimi also disliked the fact he wasn't in charge of car development, something he had been used to for the rest of his career. Instead, it was Michael Schumacher who was, and Michael is quoted as knowing Kimi had a focused vision on the car. There is also the fact that Santander were about to branch into Brazil, and if Brazilian driver Felipe Massa won the World Championship, it could be worth billions to Santander to have him marketing for them, which is why it was Kimi's seat available, not Massa's. Now, Kimi did execute a right in his contract to extend to 2010 as he'd met a performance quota, but at this point, he was already the clear number 2 in the team. He was just not of the correct nationality for Santander's plans, and despite having his suspension back, it's likely he was told by the team not to push Massa, and he was already a good 20 points behind the championship lead. In the end, the team did end up getting Alonso for 2010, with Kimi instead taking a break from F1 until rejoining with Lotus for 2012. In reflection of his time with Ferrari in 2012, Kimi explained he enjoyed the good times and winning the championship, but did not miss anyone at the team. In the end, he did manage to patch things up with Luca Di Montezemolo, with it believed Luca apologized to Kimi when he rejoined Ferrari in 2014, and had a long stint with them until 2018. It does seem that had Raikkonen's team not been against him in 2008, he had the potential to win that world championship too. But Formula 1 is as much about business and politics as it is about winning races. And in the end, Ferrari ruined his chances of any driver's championship that year, with Hamilton taking it for McLaren instead. Some may say that's karma. Santander still to this day works with Ferrari, and Massa and Alonso's lineup did provide them a huge return on investment, similar to them having Sainz now. So subscribe if you enjoyed this video. We are going for 50,000 subscribers. Goodbye!